With us, you start having
Not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives of
anymore.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III.
Well, saying that the Trump-Zelensky encounter at the White House was a meltdown is quite an understatement. It was a tits-up event, and some people are saying that Trump was really rude, and others are saying that Zelensky was the one who misbehaved. But in the end, the only way to know, to really define what happened here, is to understand the context of what was going on, the context of the meeting. I'm gonna do a body language and statement analysis of both men, including J.D. Vance as well, and understand why they got to this position. Because most people have just watched the last 10 minutes of the encounter, of the meeting, and of course those are perhaps the most important, the most relevant, the most let's say the most spectacular of the whole encounter. But at the same time, if you just watch the last 10 minutes, if you only watch those last 10 minutes, you will miss all the context that led them to that moment. So you will not get the entire story. I'm going to, let's say, label this video in chapters so you can fast forward to that last 10 minutes if you want. But I strongly suggest that you watch from the beginning so you can understand what was going on. And to understand what was going on, we need to go back, not necessarily go back in time, but understand what was the terms of the agreement that they were going to sign that day, or Zelensky was going to sign that day at the White House. So the terms outlined in the ceasefire documents, this was a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia, so they could, well, figure out what to do next. Because the first thing is, well, stop killing each other, right? And the terms of this ceasefire are important to understand why they started this argument at the end of that meeting. Well, number one, ceasefire agreement, of course. Number two, security guarantees. This is very important. Zelensky demanded explicit security assurances for Ukraine to prevent future Russian aggression. These guarantees were intended to involve European nations, possibly including peacekeeping forces from countries like France and the UK. Remember that Macron and Keir Starmer had already visited Trump in previous days, so that makes sense. That was a nice timing. But lacked, and this is very important, lacked U.S. commitment under President Trump. The documents that we're about to be signed by Zelensky, the ceasefire agreement, did not contemplate, did not oversee any kind of intervention from the United States. Okay, the United States was not going to, and Trump said that last Tuesday. He said that no, it's going to be minimal. It's going to be minimal. They will be drilling, of course, for the rare earth minerals deal that is also included in this, in which the rare earth minerals deal was to, let's say, like a payback for all the money that Joe Biden had given as aid for Ukraine. And that Zelensky, like 1 week ago, said that, well, that was not a loan. We don't have to pay it back. It was just a grant, so it was essentially for free. And, well, part of the deal was that they were going to give the United States rare earth minerals, which Donald Trump said that they were intended for development of AI chips. You know that the AI race in the United States is so hot right now. Of course, there was going to be a peacekeeping mission. European leaders proposed deploying troops as part of a peacekeeping force to monitor and enforce the ceasefire, though the U.S. was reluctant to provide direct military involvement beyond intelligence support. So, again, the United States says, we're going to facilitate, we're going to be a mediator between the Ukraine and Russia. This is important as well. And finally, exclusion from NATO membership. The documents reportedly excluded any pathway for Ukraine's NATO membership, which Zelensky viewed as a critical long-term security measure. So we already know that Zelensky had, refused to sign this twice. This was the third time that, I think that three's a charm, right? It was the third time that he finally said, okay, I'm going to sign the thing. I'm going to sign for the ceasefire. And we're going to go to the White House and the whole shenanigans, the whole enchilada. I'm going to go on, meet with President Trump and J.D. Vance. And you can imagine that if you are at the White House and you are sitting at the Oval Office with Trump and Vance, it's because you are willing to sign, right? Who could think otherwise? So we are going to do this body language and statement analysis starting right now, and this is important. We are going to do this from beginning to end with no edits or cuts whatsoever. The only edits are going to be zoom-ins here and there to focus on facial expressions, but this is to make sure that you watch this from beginning to end. This is important, so you don't say, oh yeah, you miss one part, you miss the other part. There are sections that are going to be, less interesting, quote unquote, so I'm going to play them at 2x speed. You're going to miss much in terms of body language or statement analysis, but you will get all the context needed, only a bit faster, so we don't drag this down. But this is going to be. I make sure that you will understand. You will have a better understanding of the conflict and also what happened in this meeting. So let's begin.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. And we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States. And we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that.
Okay, I'm going to try to not, let's say, alter or enter much in the context, but so far you're going to see that you need to spot that both bands have the exact same body language. There's a lot of synchronicity between them. You're not going to see at first many signals of distress from any of them, but at the time, as the thing progresses, you're going to see that they are like motifs or arguments that begin appearing and repeating over and over again. That's why the terms of the agreement were important to see who is willing to cooperate in here. So let's continue.
We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close.
I'm going to include, I'm going to use it for myself, but you can also keep up some annotations at the top of the screen. So make sure that I don't miss anything. And this is the first mention of Putin. Zelenskyy, then, you're going to see a bit in a couple seconds, he looks away and he doesn't seem pleased. That is, well, something that is natural, right? It's like his arch enemy.
Something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal. But we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. They're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers. And
okay, notice that Trump just said on both sides there have been a lot of soldiers lost. Okay, that is a motive that is going to be repeated many times. Okay, he's going to acknowledge both sides. Keep that in mind.
We want to see it stop, and we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use.
Notice that he says that we want to see it stop, the war. And what happens with Zelenskyy? He does a nose pacifying gesture. Pacifying gestures can be anything, just an emotional reaction. It doesn't mean anything in itself. It doesn't mean that he's lying or he's nervous or he's doing, the Amber Heard handkerchief stuff. No, it's a signal. Let's take it as a signal, but it's important that those emotional reactions happen at certain points. And this one happened right after what? Right after Trump said, we want to see this stop, as in the war. And I'm going to warn you about this. I saw many instances in which Trump was adamant and saying, we want this to stop. We want to stop this. We want to stop the bloodbath. We want to stop the people killing each other. And there is an emotional reaction from Zelenskyy. That is one of the things. I'm quite spoiling this, but you're going to see that how this repeats over and over again.
The rebuilding, and we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. This
is important. Trump makes sure to praise not only Ukrainian soldiers, but Zelensky himself, and he does it many times.
Given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting.
You know that so far I haven't pointed out many body language cues on Zelensky because, well, he hasn't shown many of them. You have to keep that in mind because body language is most of the time just spotting any kind of changes in behavior. In this case, if there was any change, it was from having no signals whatsoever, and the more signals that we are going to see in a minute.
Tough fighting. They're great fighters, and you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough.
Notice that again, Trump says, but we want to get it over with. And Zelensky is going to have a certain reaction to that.
We want to get it over with. So
there's the first moment, and I said, okay, this is a bit odd. He makes some kind of face, which he hasn't done before. We are just less than 3 minutes into this meeting, and twice every time, the only two times that Trump has said, let's finish this, we see an emotional reaction from Zelensky. Again, they don't mean anything in themselves. It's not that this expression has a direct meaning, but we saw emotional reactions after a concept. Finishing the war. Keep that in mind.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement.
Now, when Trump says that they're going to sign the agreement, there's another emotional reaction.
The conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch, and we'll be having lunch.
Another pacifying gesture, this time for the eyebrow.
Together, we're also discussing some other things, and we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with the deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that. And an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
No, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you.
So he invites Zelensky to speak, of course, because the idea is for both to speak. And, well, he thanks Trump for the invitation to sign the ceasefire, right? Because you came to sign the ceasefire, right?
For invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be a first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine.
Notice that the first thing that he says after thanking Trump is to talk about the security guarantees. You remember that we reviewed what the ceasefire treaty said, that it was Europe, the ones who were going to secure those security guarantees, and that the United States was not going to get involved. You remember that? Well, this is the first thing that he mentions, that Zelensky mentions as soon as he opens his mouth for the first time.
Our people, our children, I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees.
He repeats the security guarantees again, and he says that he wants to discuss something. I thought that he had come to the White House to sign the document that was already made and redacted. It's ready. It's ready for sign.
Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what the United States will be ready to do.
And now he wants to discuss what the United States will be ready to do. Again, he not only has said the security guarantees twice, but he's saying that he wants to discuss what the U.S. will be ready to do. That was not contemplated in the ceasefire. We are not even 4 minutes into this meeting, and this guy in his first intervention has said 4 times something that is not in the ceasefire the treaty, okay? That is important.
And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin.
Stop Putin, and I count on your strong position to stop Putin. Again, that is not in the documents, and there's another pacifying gesture, again, on the nose.
And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom, democracy, and of course.
Okay, this is going to be important. He's going to say the words that he will not compromise at all in terms of territory.
No compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production.
So far, they still have this same body language. They are mirroring each other. So far, still, less than 5 minutes in, they are in sync. Now he begins to talk about drone production, and let's exchange your air warfare abilities with our drones. That is we should discuss that kind of stuff in private, don't you think, Zelenskyy?
One in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really
air defense
under attacks of Russia. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States, and we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready.
Notice that he repeats again, Europe is ready to do their part of the agreement, but they are expecting or waiting for the United States to join. Again, how many times? I really didn't count all the times that Zelenskyy repeated the same line, all right? And we are 5 minutes, 11 seconds into the meeting. And you realize that is a point that he really wants to hammer down. The United States must get involved in the guarantee of security guarantee.
To be as strong as we need. And then the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that this crazy Russian, that they stole 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children, they changed their names, they changed their families, relatives, and now they're Russian. We want to bring them back. And really, it's a big dream, task and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, we exchanged, we just released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images. How it's just can I now?
Yeah, please.
Some minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before.
Okay, this is important that he begins to show photos of the tragedies of the war in Ukraine. Okay, I think that is that was to make a point.
Before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there before, and that's so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, a lot of bad things. So out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will just share with you, and it's looking tragic.
No, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you. You see,
yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. At the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something that you're gonna notice about Trump. Trump was already being a bit restless, and he's gonna show it by adjusting his jacket. We can see it very clearly afterwards. We can see, okay, he's doing great so far, but you're gonna see that is something that he does when he's feeling uncomfortable. He's about to do it.
So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course.
You want to get that ended, right?
Of course we
And
will.
I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. How much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And
This is rural earth, but it's rare earth. You know, the minerals that they are going to use for AI chips.
What you have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected. But still, it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of rare. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil, we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do. It puts us in great shape.
And long-term security for Ukraine.
I think they're going to have. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting.
Yeah, this is important. He's asked the question, what's going on with the long-term security guarantee and the U.S.? And Trump says, well, once this is signed, he's pretty sure that that is 95% of the thing, that Europe can deal with the rest, with the part, right?
I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think, we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day, all they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now,
No, notice, this is another thing that Trump wants to make it clear. Okay, we can talk about security at some point, but right now we need to sign the deal. And the deal is a ceasefire so people stop killing each other. Like first things first. He wants to make it clear, I came here to sign a deal, for Zelenskyy to sign this deal. Okay, and Putin has already agreed to sign this, to sign a ceasefire. Okay, the United States is a mediator between both parties. Again, this is very important.
Last 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And you know, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it.
Again, Trump says that they're both Russian and Ukrainian soldiers killing each other, and they want to stop it.
We want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to. This is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but they had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected, because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country. This allows us to do this.
Okay, this is important. This next part is important. Now, Zelenskyy will mention liquefied natural gas resources for Europe's help. Like, okay, we have I'm going to explain before he speaks. He's going to say that, okay, we also have liquefied natural gas resources, and since Europe is going to help us, then we are going to grant them these liquefied natural gas resources. So he wants to make kind of the point that since Ukraine is going to give liquefied natural gas resources to Europe for their help with the, security guarantee, that is like kind of implying that the rare earth mineral stuff is going to be in exchange for the United States, well, also cooperating with the security guarantee, which, again, it is not in the ceasefire treaty. All right, the rare earth mineral stuff is in payback of all the money that Biden gave, all the aid that Biden gave Ukraine, and was a grant, not a loan, as per Zelenskyy's words. So this is important. Zelenskyy will try to frame this rare earth mineral stuff as in, this is an exchange for the United States help in guaranteeing security. That is a bit of manipulation in there, and most important, right in front of the cameras, which will prove to be catastrophic later on.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just
I forgot to point out this kind of gestures from Trump. This kind of gestures are really important because it's a warmth gesture, as in, a bit of a tap of the back. You're going to see that he does it a couple times to encourage Zelenskyy.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, in the document, there's one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we now have LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really good deal for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. You can for LNG, use it for LNG, and we will do it.
Remember LNG, liquefied natural gas.
And really, we can help Europe, because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made.
Yeah, at this point, well, he keeps talking about Europe's help, like how much money has Europe sent, and Trump is going to use this moment to add some levity. There's a bit of tension in there, you know, that he's noticing that Zelenskyy is coming with a kind of an agenda, but he wants to add some levity. So this is going to be a bit funny.
Less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. At least no.
Notice that there's even this mirroring of body language when they're joking of who gave more money, Europe or America. No, they gave less. No, there's still this playful attitude so far. We are 12 minutes into the meeting, and still there's like this goodwill. Even so, in spite that Zelenskyy has spent every single word coming out of his mouth is focused on, well, trying to get the United States involved in something that the ceasefire treaty does not contemplate.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues, which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
I think that this was the moment for Trump to add another joke in there, and he 100 went for it.
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington.
Yeah, he's basically doing what he does all the time, like with that gas video or with that 51st state of Canada. He does things to provoke and generate buzz in the media. That's something that he does. It's a classic troll.
But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been an opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine.
Notice that Trump said again, he's worried about the parents of the soldiers, whether if they are in Russia or Ukraine. This is important. And now Zelenskyy is about to interrupt and, quote unquote, correct Trump. Watch this.
Think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Trump is trying to say, okay, it is needless that the parents on both sides are seeing their sons die. And Zelenskyy interrupts to say, hey, they came to our territory. Okay, nobody is discussing that, but Trump is trying to drive the point home that you have to consider both parties for what? To make an agreement, to sign a deal. You cannot sign a deal if you don't consider both parties. That makes sense, right? But Zelenskyy had to interrupt at that moment because, well, you know where he's going, right? You already catch the vibe. We still cannot jump to conclusions, but you still have a very good idea of what was Zelenskyy's attitude. Maybe not planned, but so far you know what was his attitude.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah,
the question to President Zelenskyy. Do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That President Trump is on your side at this moment?
You think that Trump is on your side at this moment? Well, literally is on his side. And yeah, Trump is about to say that it's a stupid question. And yes, it was a stupid question. Why would they be there? Why would Zelenskyy be there in the first place?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, And I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes.
Well, support can be anything, right? So maybe he was not applying that much pressure right now, but let's continue.
And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory. They came.
Again, he repeats, oh, they came into our territory, which is true, but again, it's like going against the narrative that, or the concept of a deal that we need to see both parties like equally to reach an agreement. And Zelenskyy tries to take that down again. Okay, Russia did this to us. Okay, we can understand that. Nobody has denied that from the get-go, but you might focus right now on the ceasefire, on making sure that you sign the documents and you make sure that no more of your people die. Okay, you could imagine that that is something that you should be focused on as the leader of Ukraine, right?
They began this war and they have to stop. And I think this is the question with...
Here comes the first moment in which Trump is going to be actually upset.
The most important question, can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies to stop Putin withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land?
Trump just took a deep breath. He took a deep breath in reaction to the most important question. What was the most important question? This is a question with...
It's really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes.
Can President Trump, I hope yes, like he is already answering for him.
With some other allies to stop Putin withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land. And I think that you asked about the history.
So you see that with that deep breath, Trump was beginning to run out of patience, because that's what essentially what Zelenskyy has been saying all this time, which, again, as you can remember, was not contemplated in the ceasefire treaty.
I think that if President or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall in time.
We've had very, very good talks.
President Zelenskyy just said that there will be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just want to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelenskyy is going to have to make? And President Zelenskyy, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections?
You remember that he said that he was not going to compromise anything. In this case, he could say that, well, are you willing to go for elections?
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So
notice that Trump says that you, in any deal, you have to compromise something, okay? But it's going to happen. Zelenskyy almost off the screen. You keep an eye on Zelenskyy. I'm going to play it a couple times, one in real time and a couple times in slow motion, so you can see that he was shaking his head, as in he was not willing to compromise anything. I'm going to play it right now. Keep your eyes on Zelenskyy.
Always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but...
It's almost off the screen. You can barely catch it, but yeah, he was saying, he was doing this with his head. He was not okay with that. He was not okay. I'm going to play it again.
Compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises.
And he even scrunches his face like, no, I'm not gonna compromise. Again, this is something funny, because you can imagine, you remember that J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio were right beside them. And I can imagine that J.D. Vance was just silent, observing and keeping an eye on Zelenskyy's body language at all times. It's something that he could do, like J.D. Vance, by his angle, he could do. But Trump couldn't, because, Trump would have to turn around to see Zelenskyy, and he couldn't see Zelenskyy all the time. But J.D. Vance was 100% watching and spotting, analyzing Zelenskyy's body language at all times.
Hopefully they won't be...
Are there
as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. It's been a vicious war. It's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we're talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Okay, so far, you have realized that Trump is the one who has spoken the most, and most questions have been directed at him. So that is making Zelensky feel a little frustrated, because you're gonna see this body language clue in just a couple seconds.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for
Mr. President, and they are referring to Trump, and Zelensky is like, when are you going to ask me questions? And he does this, you know, with both hands, this gesture with both hands, like he is frustrated. We're going to play it again.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will...
You okay? That's okay. Don't ask me anything. Keep asking questions to Trump. Why would you care? Why would you care? It's like Zelensky is upset about something. Why? You don't have any reasons to be upset. Okay, you are in somebody else's house, right? Maybe if you're in Ukraine, you can be the star there, but you're in somebody else's house. Why would you be upset?
Be the peacemaker and not the president.
We're gonna go back here to make sure that, yeah, this is, I remember this annotation. I'm pretty sure that you see that Trump is looking away from Zelensky. It's impossible for Trump to see Zelensky's face, but you see that Zelensky looks frustrated, and you know that J.D. Vance is keeping an eye on him.
And not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars. And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be...
There was this other gesture, as in Zelensky was, why would you do that gesture with his hands? Keep an eye on Zelensky's hands. He does like what?
I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker.
As you notice that Zelensky was getting kind of restless, both with his body language, his hand gestures, his face, maybe his voice. Well, I couldn't say that his voice, because he didn't have many chances to speak, and every time he spoke, well, he just answered the same. Like the United States has to be has to go into this in one way or another. So.
This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts. You look at the areas of red. Take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things I said we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second?
Second question for President.
Now, this journalist had two questions, and this is the moment that the second question comes, and this is the suit question for Zelensky.
And my second question for President Zelensky now.
Oh, finally, a question for me, says Zelensky. Oh, they want to know my opinion, and what is the question about?
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest
And people laugh.
level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see, do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this.
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than.
Okay, this is something that we need to address. This is something that when he arrived at the White House and Donald Trump was greeting him, Donald Trump said, "Hey, look at him. He's all dressed up." He was just joking. It was a recurring joke. Everybody knew that he's going to be, in his pajamas as usual. And people are saying, "Oh, that was so rude of that journalist asking him about a suit. What does it matter if he's wearing a suit or not? That he's in a war-torn country." That maybe that's why he was upset. That would be really lame if the leader of a country got upset because somebody asked him, well, a stupid question. Two stupid questions so far. The first one is, do you think that Donald Trump is by your side? Stupid question. The second one is, why don't you wear a suit? Who asks this question? Why would you ask such a question? I'm going to say it's not an offensive question at all, but it's a stupid question. So, well, in all cases, I don't think that Zelenskyy was upset by this, because you know that from the get-go, from the start, he already was, let's say, hostile, not towards Trump, but to the terms of the agreement. That is important to understand. It's not like, oh, he was upset because all the treatment or how rude was Trump and J.D. Vance at the end. No. He was going against this from the get-go and trying to force Trump into acknowledging something that was not in the agreement in front of the cameras. So that was a lot in bad faith. So, well, yeah, we needed that laugh as well. Even so, you're going to see that Trump is going to do something later to fix this.
Yeah, thank you.
Another pacifying gesture on the ground.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday.
And you can see that, well, the guy was beginning to be pissed off, okay? I never get asked questions, and then when they ask questions, they are the most stupid questions possible. What am I doing here? And again, give you a hint. Sign some papers.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly.
Remember the key word when Trump talks about finishing the war? You think there's going to be some kind of reaction from Zelenskyy?
We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things.
Eyebrow raise. As I'm telling you, it's like, does the eyebrow raise has a direct meaning in itself, has many meanings. It's much easier to just take it as an emotional reaction. And what a coincidence. Trump speaks about finishing the war a third time. I'm pretty sure that he has said that more than 3 times, that a third time, and for a third time, we see an emotional reaction in Zelenskyy. So you begin to see that there's a pattern, okay? A pattern of emotional reactions every time Trump addresses the words, let's finish this war. How strange is that? What a coincidence.
But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed.
Moreover, there's also this display. I'm going to play this in super slow motion so you can see that there's this contempt. He is looking away from Trump. Remember that J.D. Vance still can't see his face. He's looking away from Trump, and there's this. There it is. You see that contempt in his face. Why would you have that face of contempt if Donald Trump is saying we are going to end this war? Don't you want to end this war so there's no more blood spilled? I don't get it. I find your body language quite confusing, Zelenskyy.
Because we needed what they had, and we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. Biden didn't. Of course, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes. But hopefully we won't have to send much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet, because I want to get the deal done.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about security. Let's get the deal done. I came here for the deal. I am the one of the art of the deal. I do deals. This is what I do. I don't want to talk about security yet. I was established from the get-go.
You fall into the same trap like everybody else a million times. I just said over and over, I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stops shooting. And now with Europe put people there, I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth, so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France, and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's...
Now, notice how Zelenskyy is about to shake his head, like say no with his head. And what do you think that Trump was saying at that instant? As soon as the deal gets done, it's over. All right? It's over. The bloodbath, the blood spilling, the deaths are over. And how does Zelenskyy react?
Over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal.
You see a journalist. You see a journalist, a female journalist, saying President Zelenskyy is shaking his head, like he's saying no. It's so obvious. Everybody noticed that in the room. Like, why would you have that attitude every time Trump says that let's get this done, let's get this over? It was so obvious that a journalist called him out on that. They didn't stop.
I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question? Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you so
Mr. President.
There's going to be another signal of frustration in Zelensky's hands. Keep an eye on his hands.
You had President Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your current vision to lead the pathway towards peace.
I mean, the sense of entitlement of this midget was atrocious. I mean, I don't know what he was expecting. I think that he was expecting like the Biden treatment, and he got, well, not what he was expecting.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something the previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American.
Well, that's why I like him. One American is.
Again, why would Zelenskyy look so upset yet again when they talk about a pathway to peace? And I'm going to just play this without commentary, and you will see the markers and his face as Trump is speaking.
Does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to.
I think that smile was looking at his ambassador there, but you could see a swallowing, you could see a bit of a contempt. Why? Well, I have the idea why, but I'm going to leave that for the very end of this analysis.
To do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involved, because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion.
This is one of the few times that Zelenskyy nods with his head, and they were talking about, you heard that, about the Middle East, something that was completely unrelated.
In a period of 4 years, and they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened, and that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer. Yeah.
Now, notice that you remember that stupid question about Zelensky's suit, and Trump is about to fix that. Listen to
If
this.
I can answer, sorry. Please.
And I do like your clothing, though.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed.
I like this guy.
The caption said stressed. No, I think he's dressed. I think he was trying to add some levity. Trump still wanted to add some levity to the moment, saying, "Oh, I think that you're dressed like quite right. That I see no problem with it here." And Trump is about to show another goodwill gesture touching Zelenskyy.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more.
That one right there. I'm gonna play this. You see that Trump even lowers his head, taps Zelenskyy in the back, is smiling. Trump is smiling. Still wants. We have 23 minutes. Remember that this video, this encounter, this meeting was around 50 minutes long. We are halfway through. This is not going well, but Trump absolutely 100% wants this to work. He knows, okay, this will be over soon. I just need to make this midget, sign the deal and stop with all this nonsense of the United States being involved in something that the United States has not agreed to.
More serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on.
Notice that Trump, at the same time, he fixed his jacket right there. You know that I was half fixing his jacket. He he's not liking some things about Zelensky.
Answer on side question. I will answer on more serious question if I can. Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and...
Okay, with the risk of being repetitive, notice that Zelensky is gonna say, once again, this is like that Bernie Sanders meme, I am once again telling you that the ceasefire will not work with Putin, okay? Again, he's gonna say, the ceasefire is not gonna work with Putin, so we need the United States to back us up.
Speak and speak, it will not work. Just ceasefire will never work, because
never.
I'm like a president, I have this experience, and not only
oh, you have the experience. Oh,
me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken.
Notice that Trump is gonna interrupt Zelensky for the first time because, well, yeah, Trump is reaching boiling point.
His own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke.
No, you were the president. You were the president during.
Trump wanted to make it sure that, okay, Putin might have broken his word or whatever he signed 25 times, but not once it was under Trump's watch. So this would be different because we're talking about history, right? Right?
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but...
now Zelensky tries to fix his statement, agreeing that Putin never... faffle with Trump on command.
He had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format.
that shake of Trump's head, Trump shaking his head, I think that he was thinking, he already knew, I think that moment, 24 minutes, I think that this is the moment Trump knew that we are not going to sign anything. Are we? We are not going to sign anything. And he does something with his mouth as well.
And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees.
Again, no ceasefire will work without security guarantees. When Trump just told him, okay, but this time will work because Putin doesn't mess around with me. I am in charge right now. I'm not Obama. I'm not Biden. This is gonna work. And no, he's like a recorder. He had his talking points. Oh my God, I'm spoiling my conclusions about this. Zelensky keeps hammering the thing, and Trump wants to have a patience with it. He lets him talk, and you're gonna realize why Trump was letting him talk.
Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are
fixing his jacket. You know what that means in Trump?
Empty. If our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes. Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic.
Trump is the one going ballistic. Only that he doesn't want to show.
Now hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here, and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about
security for, I don't know, the upteenth time, we are only halfway. This is only halfway. Okay, the best is yet to come. But just so you realize the amount of patience that Trump had with Zelensky, which only had one goal in mind, to get Trump to acknowledge that the United States was going to grant some kind of security guarantee for Ukraine after the ceasefire deal was signed.
Security guarantees. When the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop.
They need the USA. They need the USA. No matter what Europe does, they need the USA. Yeah, I can imagine why.
if there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingent. They went from the Europeans because they don't want to divide alliance, connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial, this is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all this.
You remember whose air defense he was talking about at the beginning, right? The United States air defense.
We need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared this thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all Europeans, in media, official and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukraine. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. You're right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents. It's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
How many times has he said that the document is not gonna be enough? I don't know, maybe 10 times already? I really don't know.
This is the rule of war. This is the rule of war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion. We can use that. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Fixing his jacket once more. This is not going well because the frequency at that he fixes his jacket is rising.
Because I wouldn't know.
Wait, 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine or on the Ukraine's.
No, I'm in the middle.
Trump once again makes it very clear that he's in the middle. He's not on Russia's side. He's not on Ukraine's side. He wants to make it very clear, I'm in the middle. And of course, you know that Zelenskyy wants Trump to acknowledge that the United States is on Ukraine's side. And that's why he's about to do a pacifying gesture. Zelenskyy is about to do a pacifying gesture.
I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see.
Yeah, this is the moment that Zelenskyy leans a bit away from Trump because he doesn't like what he is listening. The last part, like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. That uncertainty maybe hit him not the right way.
Get solved.
May I follow up with one more question about U.S. troops in Europe? After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your president has sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country. Yeah. Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO?
For some reason, Zelenskyy was denying with his head when they were talking about troops in the Poland border. I'm just going to mark that for reference.
In the future,
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland. Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know. The Baltics, it's a tough neighborhood too. But we're committed. We're going to be very committed. And we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalized because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that?
You remember that the treaty did not contemplate any pathway for Ukraine to join NATO, right? And at the same time, I have to make some kind of pause in here to remind you that we are watching somebody that arrived at the White House. Zelenskyy arrived at the White House. He had to sign a deal that had already been drafted and he had rejected twice. It seemed that he was going to sign this time. And all that he was doing all this time for 30 minutes now is try to get Trump to acknowledge something in front of the cameras, trying to strong-arm Trump into something. That's not a good plan. So we continue.
The United States, we have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
The agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Vance gave President Zelenskyy the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal.
So what is the difference between the first draft of the agreement, of those first agreements that Zelenskyy rejected, and this one? Well, Trump only says that, well, they made a deal. And when he says that they made a deal, what do you think is Zelensky's reaction? Do you think that he's going to agree with that they made a deal?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
Is that the face of somebody that you think that has agreed to a deal? Do you think that's the attitude of somebody who has agreed to sign something, anything?
And we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
You see his face twitching, something that was not happening when this meeting started. You remember that when this meeting started, he was much more, their body language is still more in sync, but Zelensky's face is twitching all the time.
How do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and...
I don't know, but they don't like each other, I can tell you that. They do not.
Well, that is another quite stupid question. If you know that these people are basically destroying each other, like having a summit with both of them will not be. That sounds something like Keir Starmer would ask, or Justin Trudeau, like the stupid people would ask. I mean, where do they get this journalist from?
This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay, the United States, run by a man that didn't know much. I'm going to be very nice. Run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. And people will tell you I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of. I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I can tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But in the future, any negotiations.
Nobody more than Ukrainians wants to stop this war. That the captions are a bit wacky.
Understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not a war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner.
And he says that he once again says that this is a war between Russia and Ukraine, and the United States is a partner of Ukraine. A thing that twice has Donald Trump made it very clear: we are not a partner, we are not siding with anybody. We're in the middle, we are mediators. We want this to end. Okay, we are not siding with anybody in here. And Zelensky once again contradicts Trump to his face.
Of the Ukraine and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president.
More free advertising for Europe.
Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line.
This line is important. All Europeans recognize that we are defending the line. That would be very important later on.
And they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. That's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight.
Okay, I think this was the moment that, the pictures of Marco Rubio, that he was really upset, that he was boiling, and J.D. Vance was not pleased at all, but we cannot see them. But I'm pretty sure that they did not nobody liked this, what Zelensky said here about American soldiers. He began to say that, okay, he's claiming that American soldiers will end up fighting whether they like it or not. He's literally poking Trump really hard right now. Okay? Just understand. It's like he's saying, okay, your soldiers are going to be in a fight whether you like it or not. Tell me if that is not some kind of threat or something. In the White House, in front of the cameras.
He will go there. If we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Your soldiers will fight, and he opens his eyes wide and he raises his eyebrows, and it doesn't matter if there's an ocean between us. Putin will, dominate planet Earth completely, so that Maybe that's why Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. I don't know.
Mr. President, would you like to visit Ukraine? If you or Odessa, which is going to be a 30-year-old Black Sea?
It was my question.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing. And a lot of...
Notice, he's saying that, well, there have been this destruction in Ukraine, and all of a sudden, Zelenskyy interrupts him and will correct him about the destruction. There's no such destruction. Watch.
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities.
No.
Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. He lost 700.
He's basically telling Trump to his face, no, you are misinformed. What you're saying, you're so naive. Maybe you're listening too much to Putin. Yeah, you're misinformed. He's telling Trump to his face in front of the cameras, you don't know what is going on. You are not aware of what's going on. So that was rude as well. Can't you imagine Trump like inside at that moment? How much can he fix his jacket?
Thousands of people. 700,000 soldiers he lost everything. Yes.
When did you last speak with President Putin? And what did he say? A couple of days ago. And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that you wanted peace? Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was.
You're talking about Putin and the deal. How did you get to a deal with Putin?
It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Zelenskyy repeatedly that his government.
By the way, there comes the third stupid question, or the fourth stupid question. Somebody asked a question about the UK and free speech, which I absolutely have no idea what had to do with this meeting. I'm going to just play that out of pity.
Free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country is going to arrest people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on his behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such important topics?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about it?
We have concerns, obviously, with the...
Marco, you want to blow off some steam? Okay, talk about the UK.
There's particularly that impacts Americans, and there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made in Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so Americans are threatened by, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Fourth Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday, and I know that Secretary of Commerce Letnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
Is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just
Another kind of a stupid question. Can we know how that last conversation with Putin go? And if they are signing an agreement, you can imagine that the conversation went well, and Putin is willing to go forward, to move forward with the agreement. So another stupid question.
that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
You notice that 37 minutes into the meeting, a meeting that was a disaster so far, Trump was still willing to, well, be a bit playful about it. You really want to go there? I mean, who are these people asking these questions?
Some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines, and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if you're U.S.?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The agreement will protect them. The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement.
What if Russia tries to invade or orders Russia to Russian response?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make
Yeah, they're saying what happens if Putin breaks the deal or breaks the agreement. Well, Trump says, well, if I thought that that could happen, then I wouldn't sign an agreement in the first place. I'm not going to do something that is going to fail. If I'm doing this, it's because I know it's going to work. And in so many ways, it makes sense, right?
You know, they want to focus on CNN and survival, not guessing these ridiculous questions.
It makes a joke about CNN and the survival of CNN. You should focus on that.
Focus on surviving because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Again, a question. Why would you say to my Polish friends that think that you are aligning yourself with Putin too much? Okay, you remember what Trump has said like 2 or 3 times so far. I am not aligning with anybody here. I'm mediating. Like these people have comprehension. I wouldn't say reading comprehension. I would say listening comprehension, but here we go.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them,
align myself with both of them,
you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way.
And notice that even so, we are about to enter. We're about to enter the event horizon, the real rumble of this. We are the real meltdown. We're about to enter the real meltdown, and Trump was still trying to, crack some subtle jokes here and there to see if he can we survive this? Can we get to the end without, somebody doing something stupid? But no, it's not possible.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with.
Yeah, it's not a question of alignment because if you have two parties that absolutely hate the guts of each other, how do you get to a deal with that if you cannot be a measure and a very neutral force in the middle? And you might say, "Oh, Jesus, don't be like that." You know that the United States cannot be a neutral force in the middle. The United States wants the rare earth minerals and all that. Yeah, but in some ways, you have to, I wouldn't say you have to, but you could consider that the rare earth mineral stuff was like that payback for all the money that Biden and all the aid that Biden had given Ukraine in the past years. But let's continue.
The world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done.
And then, well, Trump tells everybody, you want to see the tough Trump? You want to see the tough Trump? I can show you the tough Trump.
You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
And Vance tag teams himself. And this is the moment when the real action begins.
So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy.
This is important. Many people are saying that J.D. Vance was unhinged and he was unpolite and he was aggressive or something. He was just stating the obvious. If you have been trying the Biden approach for all the Biden administration and it hasn't worked, maybe they have to change the approach. Maybe with diplomacy, they can at least make Russians and Ukrainians not kill each other. That's all that J.D. Vance was saying at that exact moment. He was saying nothing else. And for some reason, is that triggered Zelenskyy. Like Zelenskyy just went completely unhinged because of that.
What President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during
Notice that J.D. Vance is still nodding with his head and still willing to listen to Zelenskyy at this point.
a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
By the way, when he did that back then, Obama just slapped some sanctions on Russia and called it a day. There was not this all this crazy stuff that has happened for some reason. Who knows?
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah.
I was not here. Yeah, but if I've been here,
That's
exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president.
notice what Zelenskyy is about to mention. He's about to mention a ceasefire with Putin, signed in 1 year with some people. Notice what year he mentions.
In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire.
Yeah, who was in the White House in 2019? Yeah, Trump. When did the actual war start? In 2021 under Biden. So this is like acknowledging during the Trump administration, nothing really happened. It was during the Biden administration that the things went completely south. And if you sign a ceasefire with Macron and Merkel, you can imagine how can that go.
All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners.
So, but at this point, everybody in the room is asking, man, if you came to sign a deal for diplomacy, why have you spent 42 minutes blasting diplomacy and treaties and ceasefires like they will not work? What is your plan? What is your agenda? What do you pretend here? What are you doing? This is nonsense.
But he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?
What kind of diplomacy are you speaking about? The kind of diplomacy I can imagine that he was thinking that is, let's say, incarnated in the papers that are to be signed right in the next room after we have lunch. We can sign the papers. You know, that is the kind of diplomacy. That's why you flew all the way from Ukraine here to the United States and are in the White House, sitting in front of the cameras with Donald Trump. That would make sense, right?
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of.
Notice the arrogance of Zelenskyy when he asks that question. He immediately leans back, crosses his arms, raises his chin.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President,
and when he does this, in a split second, J.D. Vance knows that he has to end this, has to completely end this, okay? And the most important thing is notice Trump's reaction.
Yes, but if
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come.
Notice that Vance is talking at him. You remember that when Zelenskyy was speaking, Vance was looking intently at him, was establishing eye contact. But when J.D. Vance is telling him, okay, what he wants to tell him, he looks away. Like how rude can you get? How uneducated can you get? How arrogant can you get?
To the Oval Office to try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
Have you ever been to Ukraine to see what problems we have? Well, you know that the internet exists. You know that intelligence exists. You know that there's so many ways to understand what's happening in the other side of the world, thanks to things like the internet.
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what.
Now, this is going to be a rather, let's say, controversial part, because there are reports of Ukrainians that have detected that Zelenskyy at this point said the word "suka blood," and yeah, I said that, which essentially means, some say that it means bitch whore, or it says OF, or it's an interjection of well, let's say it's not the best thing that you should say if you are in a diplomatic adventure. It was very rude. It was completely out of the moment. Was I don't know how to label this. If you say those words, bitch whore, when somebody's talking to you and you're not even looking at them to the face. So this is Volodymyr Zelenskyy. This is what he is. And by this point, everybody in this room was fed up with him, including his own ambassador. But, well, this is when he does that.
What happens is you bring
You can barely hear that, but yeah, already so many Ukrainians have confirmed that online. But, well, we can continue, because if you thought that this couldn't get worse, I have news for you.
them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Yeah, he is essentially attacking the administration because they are trying to put some common sense into him, like, we are not Biden, we are not Obama. During the Trump years, Putin, well, didn't misbehave. We are trying to help you not get your people killed. And you come here and you have this attitude of that you want, in front of the cameras, to force us into acknowledging something that we have not agreed to. So yeah, this is one of the worst things that you can do in any country. And now by this point, maybe if you thought that Donald Trump's and J.D. Vance's reaction was, they were so rude with Zelenskyy, who is a hero, maybe by this point you understand why did they react the way they reacted.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems.
Notice how, so far, Trump has stayed out of the conversation. He has let J.D. Vance speak. He has let Zelenskyy speak, okay?
Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
But this is the moment Trump tag teams move for.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah, by this point, Trump has had enough. Don't tell us that in spite of having an ocean between us, we're going to be feeling the influence. There's something that be going to happen to us, because it was bad enough to say that American soldiers were going to fight regardless of what was going to happen. That was way past, the point of no return. And even so, Trump was willing to give the guy a chance. And you can see the body language that Zelenskyy was essentially cornered. He didn't have an argument. He knew that he was screwing up, and he wanted to continue. And he wanted to continue, in this case, trying to speak over Trump, and well, that backfired badly.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're
answering.
I'm not telling you, and crossing his arms. It's really, it's like a high schooler. Like what is this guy doing here? Like, how is this guy in charge of a country?
Position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influenced.
We're going
Yeah, are you a clairvoyant? Are you Nostradamus? You're looking to the future. You haven't even signed the deal, and you already say that the deal is not going to work. So this is asinine.
feel very good and very
You
strong.
will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a
Mr.
good
Brown,
position. You don't have the
Yeah, it's from the very beginning of the war. How many times had Zelensky said that? Yeah, Trump was fed up. Trump was completely fed up. You're gonna begin with their sob story of the beginning. We are here precisely to end the war. Do you want to end the war or not? Why are you here? What is your point? That will be revealed in a minute.
cards right now. With us, you start having
Not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's
with
back
all
to you.
respect.
Look at that. Look at the way that he look at Zelensky's head.
That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
you.
Far more than.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful to you. They almost go for the
A
hands.
lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can
not speaking loudly.
Yeah, he was not speaking loudly at any point. I've got comments on my ex replies. Oh, J.D. Vance was yelling. Have you heard J.D. Vance yelling at any point? To be fair, nobody was yelling at any point. Not even Zelensky. Zelensky didn't even have any arguments to yell. Nobody was yelling, and J.D. Vance less than anybody
He's not
else.
speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone.
We've been alone. The classic victim story, the sob story of the victim. Alone, but how much money have you received from America and Europe?
And we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only-
alone.
Yeah, Trump calls him out. You haven't been alone. Stop lying. You haven't been alone.
this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If you
Even so, Trump has said, you have been very brave. Even in this discussion, Trump tells him, you have been very brave, but our stupid president, Biden, gave you $350 billion. But even so, even if in this heated argument, Trump wants to acknowledge that Ukrainians have been brave. So you tell me, if Trump didn't give this guy so many opportunities to retract and be thankful, and well, by this point, at least apologize. And well, Trump touches him and essentially tells him that if it wasn't for the United States, Ukraine would not exist right
didn't have
now.
our military equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
Notice that dismissive gestures. Oh yes, yeah, I heard that from Putin in 3 days. Yeah, it's like, why would you be so mad at the people who want to save your country? Nobody can make sense of it.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing
Confirm, no lunch for the midget.
to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of
Except
times,
that they're
thank you
except
to
that
I spent a lot of time, thank you.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
Both men have a point. J.D. Vance says this is embarrassing to be litigating this in front of the cameras. But at the same time, Trump wanted the cameras to catch this. He said, we need to continue. We need to get to the end so people can see the actual nature of Volodymyr Zelensky. That is, if you don't have Trump derangement syndrome, because, well, in that case, I cannot help you.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
I'm thankful. Is that the face of somebody who is thankful? He's not even looking at Trump in the face. He's like somebody that's talking to you. I'm thankful. You know, I'm not looking at you directly to the eyes. This is the lowest of the low.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire.
Yeah, he said, no, the ceasefire is not going to work. Diplomacy is not going to work. We need guarantees. Then why are you here?
Faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to
Yeah, jacket fixing.
Mr. Vice President.
Yeah, Trump was completely boiling point.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks?
Notice that Trump doesn't point at him and say his attitude has to change. He tries to, even at that point, say attitudes have to change, like in general. He doesn't want to point at him directly, even at that moment.
Please talk. What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if Russia breaks the ceasefire? And that is hypothetical. Maybe we should sign the ceasefire first and then see what happens. Why is everybody so hell-bent on thinking what is going to happen if Putin breaks the ceasefire? And that's when Trump says this.
Well, what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States.
And he certainly cannot be a tough guy with that attitude and that behaviors, because everybody have been brown-nosing him so far. And yeah, that is part of the explanation we're about to find out.
Your people are very brave, but you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Yeah, and a great YouTube analysis, I guarantee you as well.
All right, we'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks.
Well, you might be aware that ultimately Zelenskyy was kicked out of the White House. They didn't even have lunch. And of course, no agreement was signed. One of the things that you needed to know is that in that same morning, Zelenskyy was received, thank Paul for this. Before Zelenskyy got owned by Trump and Vance, he met with major warmongers in the U.S. government. Everyone in this room should be primaried or fired. There was wrong in America. And you can see that Zelenskyy's body language was, really confident in many ways, with all these people who were, pushing for what warmongers like, because, follow the money, always follow the money. He was like a rock star. He really thought, look at him, how delighted he is with all these guys. This is how I'm going to be treated when I'm with Trump and J.D. Vance. Yeah, this is going to go the exact same way. He really thought it was going to be the same. No, it didn't happen. That didn't happen. And the other clue that we need is that as soon as that ended, that meltdown finished, and he promptly left the White House, and essentially it was everybody in the White House ate the food of the lunch. After President Trump kicked Zelenskyy out of the White House, the only thing he could do for the past hour was sit on X, furiously hitting copy-paste on "thank you for your support" to every world leader like a desperate guy texting his exes at 2 a.m. Watch this. It was like a ton of tweets. The guy just replying to all this because, for some reason, all these European leaders made sure to tweet the same almost simultaneously. This really looked like coordinated. It was so instant that every single one, so many of them, this is "thank you for your support, thank you for your support, thank you for your support." Emmanuel Macron, all of them. And by the way, Zelenskyy went straight for the UK after being in the United States. So that is important as well. There are a couple of things that we need to let's say, maybe have some kind of, conclusion. There's a conclusion that we need to address. My view, my very personal view, I'm going to tell you what do we think about this. My personal view is that this was a setup. This was a setup, and Zelenskyy was instructed directly. Make sure that you involve the United States in this, or else. And that's one of the reasons that he hadn't signed any treaty the first two times, and now he had agreed when Trump said, "What is different this time?" Well, we made a deal. But there was no deal. My take is that Volodymyr Zelenskyy at no point was willing to sign any deal before Donald Trump agreed to anything in front of the cameras. Of course, Donald Trump is not a fool. He wrote the art of the deal. He knew that he was not going to agree anything that was out of those already agreed upon documents. So Zelenskyy was with this attitude. He pretended to, strong arm Trump into saying something in front of the cameras, and it went as you saw. Now, isn't Europe interested in, this ceasefire? Isn't Europe interested in finishing the Ukraine-Russia spilling of blood on both sides? And I'm going to tell you one thing. We have seen, let's say, Germany, in the UK. I have spoken about those countries a lot lately. They are like in this race of which one is doing worse. And you know that even this guy from the CDU was elected in the past German elections. He already said, "No, wait, the closing of the borders. We really never meant that." So they are realizing that to keep people, quote unquote, you remember that Zelenskyy said that at some point, Europeans, he spoke in general, Europeans are, on the line, on the fence for Ukraine, supporting Ukraine, is because that is part of these countries of the EU, these governments of the EU and the UK. They need some kind of mission or objective or goal or lofty goal, defend Ukraine from the clutches of evil Putin. They need that so they can justify a number of things. As in, well, you know what, we need to send more aid for Ukraine because war can be really profitable for many people, especially the ones who make the guns. Also, at the same time, he spoke about those assets, those Russian assets that are almost 300 billion, his words, not mine, that the European Union could seize and even, use them for aid with a lot of bureaucracy as well. And at the same time, that would help these governments speed up any Green Deal, for all the energy crisis product of the Ukraine and Russia war. We need to approve this emergent Green Deals, more green stuff. And you know what that means. More bureaucracy, more corruption. Everybody in these governments wins. And the people who make the weapons, the people that are with the climate stuff, all those make a lot of money. I always told you, always follow the money. So my guess is that both Macron and Starmer were trying to, well-time those visits to Donald Trump to tell you, hey, how you have to treat Zelenskyy. Maybe you could help Ukraine secure this, all this. Oh, no. And Trump said, this is already settled. And Zelenskyy thought that he could get away with that in front of the cameras. Maybe it was the EU, maybe it was the UK, maybe it was both of them, maybe it was somebody else. But still, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. Again, this is the most thorough analysis that I ever done. We had body language in here. We got statement analysis in here. We got a bit of geopolitics. It's not my strong point, but I'm trying to do my homework in this regard. But one thing that we see is that it was obvious from the start that this guy, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, had this hidden agenda. He didn't want to show his hand to anybody, but it was so pathetically obvious. It was so embarrassing, the way that he was pushing it from the first minute of the meeting. And, well, it's a good thing that J.D. Vance could politely tell him, hey, we are different than Biden. And that's when Zelenskyy had no option than to go full unhinged. Have you went to Ukraine? Have you visited Ukraine? And he was not really interested in any answer. And that's when Trump had to ultimately step in. Again, I'm sure that this is not the end of it. I'm sure that while I'm recording this video and while I'm uploading this video, so many things are going to happen. So many things are going to be happening right now. but I'm doing my best to give you the best possible analysis. You have asked me, Jesus, when were you going to analyze somebody again? And I told you, body language analysis are like hunting wild boars. If there are no boars, you cannot go hunting. And this was a 500-pound boar. Well, I had to take my time, and that's why I take so long. But if anything else pops up, remember that you can reach out to me with my email or through X and pitch anything that is going on, and I will make sure to keep on top of all this news to bring you not only the best body language analysis, but also the best entertainment. And yeah, as Trump said, this was absolutely great TV. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. And remember the most important words: much love and bliss. Take care. Be safe. I love every single one of you. Bye-bye.